Okay, hey, welcome to an episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. I have a really cool follow-up for you guys from Chrono Tokyo as well as Forstner. You guys know I'm really big on epic kind of strap and bracelet pairings. So a little bit about each brand. Forstner was originally founded as the Forstner Chain Corporation in about 1920 by William Forstner in New Jersey. In its early years, the company made ornamental jewelry and watch bracelets. Now, many of you are, of course, familiar with the classic beads of rice, sometimes called the grains of rice bracelet. Lesser known are the rare 5-row style presented here. So we have the traditional 9-row as well as their 5-row options. And yeah, these are just staples of kind of that mid 20th century, and they cost the same. Their details are very similar in terms of construction, in terms of the tapering, in terms of the different options that are available, right? In terms of lug width, etc. So really here we're going to be looking at more so the design aesthetics, how they wear, how they play off of this particular watch. And I've really discovered some interesting things as kind of comparing these back to back. Now the watch is the Kurono Tokyo Reiwa. This is the 2024 anniversary edition. Love this watch. It is probably my favorite dress watch that I've ever owned. I'm not huge into dress watches, but it's absolutely epic and I love it. But I am also a bracelet guy. So figuring out what would be the right bracelet pairing for me was definitely something that, inspired this particular video. Big shout out to Forstner for, of course, supplying the items here that we'll be comparing. So with that said, let's go ahead and zoom the camera out, get this piece in hand, and take a closer look. Okay, now we'll start off with the watch here. That will be showcased, of course. And yeah, this is the 2024 anniversary Chrono Tokyo Reiwa, and I love this thing. 37 millimeters, only 10.9 millimeters thick, and a lug to lug of 43.4. So very, very wearable. But thanks to the 20 millimeter lug width here, it's also going to be wearable for larger wrists as well. You have this box Dome Sapphire. It's water resistance up to 30 meters. And it has an automatic Japanese Miyota 90 S5, which is going to have a 42-hour power reserve and beat of 4 hertz or 28,800 vibrations per hour. These are, of course, rare limited edition, and they typically are going to go well above that original retail just due to their scarcity and desirability. But I love that watch, but, I actually first tried it on a bracelet, and it's just stayed on this bracelet, which is going to be, of course, the Forstner 5-row beads of rice. And it's a much less traditional, but I just loved the way that it complemented the watch. And there's a lot of negative space at play here. There's a lot of geometric patterning in terms of the lines, which I think goes really great with this sector style dial here. So that was really one of the things. Oh, actually, another update. I didn't realize Forstner did this. I don't think they're even advertising this yet, but they updated the screwdriver that comes with their bracelets, which is pretty cool. So that when you're adjusting it, the screwdriver they had before was very similar to pretty much any other screwdriver you might receive. This one is a little bit more overbuilt, and I think that's cool. It even has little grips there, nicely signed. You have all of the details, and you still have, of course, that nice platform. So if you can hold it, spin it, and you can keep pressure on. So I thought that was really neat. So big shout out for that improvement. Now, checking this out, this is their more classic setup. This is more what you think of when you think of a beads or a grain of rice. Of course, on the diver side, a lot of people see that as more just the beads in the center row. But this is going to be in terms of like a traditional dress watch. This right here is going to be typically what you expect. You can see very polished, very, very nice. Ooh, this thing is handsome. And this is what I was kind of originally drawn to. But as you guys know, this watch came out a while ago, and I'm only trying this out now recently. So this 5-row, this kind of conventional 5-row really, really resonated with me in terms of the pairing. So let's go ahead, get these two paired together and see what we think the difference is. Okay, as you can see on my 7.5 inch wrist, or 19 centimeters in circumference, this thing looks gorgeous. Of course, it is smaller, right, at just 37 millimeters. But again, that 20 millimeter lug width, especially in the non-tapering format with an 18 millimeter kind of across the links, I think it just flows perfectly. Check it out, guys. I'd say it really brings out the steel of the case, and it really elongates that case, which is what really most bracelets are going to do, right? It's going to make it feel like more of a unit. And this thing is gorgeous. Of course, I could easily see this, sliding underneath a cuff. Look at how thin that wears. Look at just how well refined of a setup you're getting. And again, very similar in terms of construction. Nothing special here, guys. I mean, look at that old school stamped clasp, friction fit. But I will say it gives you everything you need. You have manual points of micro adjustment there. And yeah, it's not the most cost-effective choice, but I will say in terms of authenticity, right, from a brand that really popularized these designs back in their heyday, I think this looks absolutely fantastic. Check it out. That just goes. And I really like the way this looks, but there's something that makes me go back to that 5-link, and let me show you really quickly why. Okay, yes. So here, right, of course, yes, the metal bracelet is going to elongate the case, but for some reason, just the lines and the design aspect you're getting, for me, really ties more into the dial. I feel like this echoes the dial character a lot more, right? You have that negative space. You have kind of the lines tying in, again, to just the shapes here. Let me know what you think in the comments below, guys. But yeah, that's kind of my theory here, is that this bracelet really ties more into this dial. So if you have something with more of a sector style of dial, I think this is just going to accentuate it more. Even though in a bubble, I prefer this type of bracelet more, right? Like, I like the aesthetic of the bracelet in a bubble more, but this bracelet, I think, pairs, ooh, look at that. A little Junghans Max Bill action, another interesting watch. This one I actually purchased from Teddy back when he only had an online store before he blew all the way up. So shout out to the Teddy team. But check that out. I think this now suits that absolutely beautifully. So I'm still going to definitely get some wear out of each of these bracelets from Forstner. But yeah, I think ultimately here, this feels more at home with a more minimalist style and a more minimalist case, right? Where it's almost like this thing is all dial, but it's still just so clean and just balanced that having something like this bracelet for me just elevates it in a very particular way. Now, it still felt elevated paired to the Chrono Tokyo, but here I feel like this just adds this for me, accentuates what makes this watch special, what makes it stand out, and makes it quite different than anything else that I own. And then you still have a bracelet that's also quite different. So if you do have, again, either of these watches, I think you couldn't go wrong with either of these pairings. But again, if you want to really, again, reflect the dial architecture, and the visual interest down and around your wrist, I think the 5-row is the way to go. If you want something that's going to be more clean, more classic, more universal, that just feels a bit more organic in general, I think that classic 9-row is the way to go. I mean, look at it, just, whew. That is a combination if I've ever seen one. So yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below here. This is, of course, not a full watch review. I've done reviews of each of these watches in the past. I enjoy them thoroughly. Again, probably number 1 and number 2 in terms of most worn kind of dressy watches within my extensive collection. But yeah, this one again, it's very unique. The dial is unique, and the bracelet is unique, and it kind of flows with that. I didn't think it looked bad on the 9-row, the more traditional, but it just looked more traditional, and it's not a super, again, it's a very unique watch. Now this is very traditional and very clean, right? Bauhaus styled, so almost, just minimalist. I shouldn't say almost, it is absolutely minimalist. So to have something now where you're going to get a splash of that mixture, a little bit of brushed, a little bit of polished, a little bit of organic lines and movement here, I think it just, again, it elevates and accentuates in a way that's different. And I do like the fact that since it is 18 millimeters across here in terms of that width, even though it's non-tapering, I think it actually really suits the styling. Same goes for this variation. So guys, closing thoughts, both very comfortable and balanced in terms of wear profile. Let's get them off the wrist here. In terms of the 9-row, looks more substantial, naturally plays up the steel surfaces, really extending, the steel watch case as you would expect typically, right? Like that's what you want when you want to add a steel bracelet to your watch, right? Or I should say a metal bracelet to really any watch, regardless of the case material. When you add a metal bracelet to it, you're extending that case out, and it's giving you an overall more complete feel, and it does elevate that, and I do like that. Whereas here, specifically this 5-row, it just has a different approach, right? The negative space plays more with the dial and extends the dial geometry onto the wrist versus extending the case out onto your wrist. So bottom line, guys, either option here work really well on my Chrono Tokyo Reiwa, but I would say each does offer, they both complement it in a different way. Then I kind of different than what I expected, but I think it would be very repeatable and similarly themed timepieces. So if you have other watches that maybe have similar case structures but completely different dials, you can play with these ideas in terms of your pairings as well. You have the traditional 9-row being clean, simple, and organic, while the unique 5-row adds complexity and visual interest to that winning beads of rice formula. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. What are your preferences? What are your thoughts? Do you agree, disagree, so on and so forth? Let me know. Do you guys want to see more pictures of these watches on my Instagram feed? I think I need to, because sometimes I forget how good these are. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you like the video, please hit like, and if you have any, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.